You know that feeling when you finally get the raise? That specific moment where you see the email or sign the offer letter and the number is there. The big one, the one with 5 zeros, $100,000. For as long as I can remember, and I'm old enough to remember when gas was under $1, so bear with me, that number was the finish line. It was the golden ticket. If you made 6 figures, you had made it. You were the person who ordered appetizers without looking at the price. You were the person who booked the summer vacation in February. You were safe. But then the deposit hits your account and you pay the rent or the mortgage. You pay the student loan that got you the degree that got you the job. You go to the grocery store just for the basics, nothing fancy, maybe the store brand cereal because honestly it tastes the same. And suddenly you're looking at your banking app at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday thinking, wait, where did it all go? It feels like a glitch in the simulation, doesn't it? Like you're running on a treadmill that someone keeps speeding up every time you get comfortable. Hello there, I'm Karen, just a regular mom, and I think about money more than is probably healthy, mostly because I'm trying to figure out why the American dream math doesn't seem to work for regular people anymore. I punch the clock, I raise the kids, I deal with the rising cost of eggs as everyone else, and honestly, I'm tired of the gaslighting. I'm tired of seeing headlines that say the economy is booming while everyone I know is quietly panicking about their credit card balance. We need to talk about the 6-figure lie, because if you are making good money and still feeling broke, you aren't crazy and you aren't bad with money. The game has fundamentally changed and nobody bothered to send us the new rule book. So let's look at the actual math, the ugly, boring, terrifying math of why $100,000 is the new $60,000 and why feeling broke at a high income is actually the new normal. Okay, let's start with a little time travel, because I think a lot of our stress comes from this phantom expectation we have in our heads. We grew up watching TV shows where the dad had a regular office job, the mom maybe worked part-time or stayed home, and they lived in this massive 2-story house with a yard and a golden retriever. In 1995, I know, ancient history, a salary of $100,000 was elite status. It put you in the top tier of earners. If you made that much, you were buying a house that cost maybe $150,000. Think about that ratio for a second. You made in 1 year almost enough to pay off 2/3 of your entire house. Today, if you make $100,000, you are barely scraping into the middle class in most major cities. You aren't rich, you are technically surviving. I read this stat the other day that made me actually put my coffee down. To get the same purchasing power, the same lifestyle that $100,000 bought you in nearly 2000, you would need to make almost $195,000 today. Basically, you need to make double to feel the same. So when you beat yourself up for not having the savings account your parents had or for not being able to afford a home in a decent school district, you're comparing your 2026 reality to a 1995 fantasy. You're playing a game of Monopoly where everything costs double, but you're still passing go and collecting the same $200. And the worst part? We don't talk about it. We carry this shame. I see it with my coworkers, my friends. We have this silent agreement to nod and smile when people talk about the economy. Meanwhile, we're all just praying the check engine light doesn't come on, because if it does, that's it. That's the emergency fund. Gone. Let's talk about the biggest vampire in the room. Housing. I remember when the rule of thumb was don't spend more than 30% of your income on housing. That was the golden rule. Financial gurus would scream it from the rooftops. If you made $100,000 a year, that meant you could comfortably spend about $2,500 a month on your mortgage or rent. That sounds nice, right? $2,500. Have you looked at Zillow lately? I look at it sometimes just to hurt my own feelings. In a decent suburb, not a mansion, just a place where you don't have to worry about your catalytic converter getting stolen every night, a starter home is now $500,000. If you buy a $500,000 house today with interest rates hovering around 7%, your monthly payment isn't $2,500. It's closer to $4,000 once you add in taxes and insurance. Do the math with me. You make $100K. After taxes, which we will get to in a minute, don't worry, you bring home maybe $6,000 or $6,500 a month, depending on your state. If your mortgage is $4,000, well, you see the problem. You have $2,000 left for everything else: food, car, lights, water, internet, kids. And that's if you own. Renting isn't much better. Landlords have figured out that they can charge market rate, which is basically code for whatever is the absolute maximum amount of pain a human can endure before moving back in with their parents. So the 100K earner is house poor. You have the nice address maybe, you have the perception of success, but inside that house, the furniture is from IKEA on a payment plan, and the fridge is half empty because the mortgage eats 60% of the paycheck. It's a trap. It really is. The middle class was sold this idea that home ownership is the key to wealth, but right now, for many people, it's an anchor. It's holding them underwater. Here is something nobody warns you about when you start climbing the career ladder. The government loves your raise just as much as you do, maybe more. There's this misconception that making six figures means you take home six figures. I wish. When you hit that 100K mark, you're in a different tax reality. Federal tax, state tax, FICA, Social Security, Medicare. If you're lucky enough to have a job that offers a 401k and health insurance, that comes out too. By the time the money actually hits your direct deposit, it looks a lot more like $68,000, maybe $70,000 if you live in a state with no income tax. But then they probably get you on property tax anyway. There is no escape. So you're mentally budgeting like a rich person. I make 100K, but you're spending cash like a person making 65K. And that disconnect is where the debt starts. You lease the car that matches the 100K salary. You buy the clothes that match the job title. You go to the happy hours because that's what successful people do. You swipe the credit card because, hey, I make good money. I'll pay it off next month. But next month comes and the mortgage is due and the car payment hits, and suddenly that credit card balance just sits there, hovering, accruing interest. It's the lifestyle creep, sure, but it's also just tax reality. We are taxed like we're wealthy, but we're living like we're broke. The progressive tax system was designed decades ago when 100K was wealthy. The brackets haven't really kept up with the reality of what it costs to just exist in 2026. I can't do this video without talking about the elephant in the room, the degree. For most of us, getting to that 100K salary wasn't free. You didn't just walk out of high school and stumble into a six-figure management role. You went to college, maybe grad school. You did the right thing. You invested in yourself. And now you have a monthly bill of $500, $800, maybe $1,000 just to service the debt for the piece of paper that got you the job. It's like paying a cover charge every single month just to enter your own life. If you're making 100K but paying $1,000 a month in student loans, you aren't making 100K, you're making 88K. And we haven't even touched the interest rates on those loans. I have a friend, let's call her Sarah, who has been paying her loans for 10 years. 10 years! She pays every month on time. She looked at her balance last week and she owes more now than when she started. How is that even legal? It feels like indentured servitude with better branding. So when we talk about why 100K feels broke, we have to look at the entry fee. The previous generation could work a summer job and pay for a semester of college. Now, you can work a summer job and maybe pay for the textbooks and a parking pass. The ROI, the return on investment of the degree, is shrinking. You're running a race with a 50-pound backpack, wondering why you can't keep up with the people who ran this race 30 years ago, carrying nothing but a water bottle. Can we talk about groceries just for a second? Because this is where I feel the inflation rage the most. I used to be able to walk into a grocery store with $100 and feel like a queen. I'm talking a full cart, meat, vegetables, snacks for the kids, maybe a bottle of wine, the fancy cheese. The cart was heavy. Now I walk in with $100 and I walk out with 2 paper bags. And I'm double checking the receipt in the parking lot thinking the cashier must have scanned the chicken twice. Nope, chicken is just the price of gold now. This is what economists call purchasing power, but what I call the sadness of the half-empty fridge. When the price of necessities doubles, food, fuel, electricity, it hits differently than the price of luxuries. You can choose not to buy a new TV. You can't choose not to eat. You can't choose not to heat your house in January. For the family making $100K, this is the silent killer. On paper, you have enough, but in practice, the fixed costs, the stuff you must buy, have inflated faster than your paycheck. And it's insidious, isn't it? It's not just the price tag, it's shrinkflation. Have you noticed the cereal boxes are thinner, the chip bags are mostly air, the toilet paper rolls are looser? We are paying more for less everywhere, all the time. It makes you feel crazy. You feel like you're doing something wrong. Why can't I stick to the budget? Why are we overspending on food? Honey, you aren't overspending. The food is just expensive. The dollar in your pocket is worth about 75 cents compared to a few years ago. You're trying to fill a bucket that has a hole in the bottom, and you're blaming yourself for not pouring water fast enough. If you don't have kids, you can skip this part. Actually, don't, because you need to know why your friends with kids look so tired. If you do have kids, I'm sorry. I know. Childcare in this country is a crisis. It's not an inconvenience. It's a crisis. In many states, putting 2 kids in daycare costs more than the mortgage. It costs more than in-state college tuition. I did the math once for my own family, and I almost cried. There was a point where I realized that if I went to work and paid for daycare, gas, work clothes, and lunches, I was basically working for free. I was paying someone else to raise my kids so I could go sit in an office to make enough money to pay the person raising my kids. Make it make sense. For the 100K household, this is often the breaking point. You make too much to get any assistance or subsidies, but you don't make enough to absorb a $2,500 monthly daycare bill without bleeding out. So what happens? Credit cards, or one parent quits their job, cutting the household income in half, which throws you back into the struggle category. Or you rely on aging grandparents who are tired and have their own problems. It's a broken system, and it's a massive reason why a 6-figure salary feels like poverty wages for young families. You aren't buying yachts, you're buying diapers and supervision. Okay, we've blamed the housing market, the government, the colleges, and the grocery stores. Now we have to look in the mirror for a second. Just a quick glance. We are living in the most visible era of wealth in human history. 50 years ago, you only knew what your neighbors had. If Bob next door got a new Ford, you maybe felt a little jealous. But you didn't know that a 19-year-old in Dubai just bought a Lamborghini. You didn't know that your high school friend is currently vacationing in Bora Bora. We are constantly bombarded with lifestyle porn. We scroll through Instagram or TikTok and see normal-looking people living extraordinary lives. And subconsciously, our baseline for normal shifts up. We think normal is a renovated kitchen with quartz countertops. We think normal is a new SUV every 3 years. We think normal is DoorDash 3 times a week. But none of that is normal. That is expensive. The 100K earner is the most susceptible to this because you feel like you should be able to have those things. You worked hard. You got the degree. You have the job title. Why shouldn't you have the nice things? So we spend to bridge the gap between our reality and our feed. We spend to soothe the burnout from the job. We spend to prove to ourselves mostly that we are successful. It's what I call dopamine spending. We are buying little hits of happiness because the big picture feels so stressful. But here is the secret. Most of those people you see online, they are drowning too. They are financing the vacation on a card with 24% interest. They are leasing the car. They are renting the clothes. It's a performance. We are comparing our behind-the-scenes footage to everyone else's highlight reel, and it's making us broke. By now, you might be feeling a little depressed. I get it. I've been staring at this script feeling a little heavy myself. If the housing market is rigged and inflation is permanent and debt is unavoidable, why even try? Why not just blow the money and enjoy the ride down? But here is the shift. This is the part where we stop being victims of the math and start hacking it. Because once you accept that 100K is the new 60K, you can stop acting like a rich person and start acting like a smart person. The first step to escaping the trap is to acknowledge the trap exists. Stop budgeting for the life you think you should have at this salary and budget for the life that actually costs what you bring home. This might mean staying in the starter home for 10 years instead of 5. It might mean driving the Honda Civic until the wheels literally fall off, even though the guy in the next cubicle just got a Tesla. It might mean saying no to the expensive weddings, the brunches, the generic consumerism that drains our accounts $50 at a time. It means redefining what wealth looks like. To me, wealth isn't the BMW in the driveway. Wealth is the ability to sleep at night because I have 6 months of expenses in a high-yield savings account. Wealth is being able to quit a toxic job because I'm not living paycheck to paycheck. Wealth is freedom, not stuff. The system relies on you feeling inadequate, so you keep spending. It relies on you staying on the hamster wheel, chasing that feeling of enough that keeps moving just out of reach. The most rebellious thing you can do, the most Karen thing you can do, honestly, is to opt out of the race. I want you to take a breath. Seriously, unclench your jaw. You are not failing. If you are making good money and still struggling, you are navigating an economic environment that is historically hostile to the middle class. The wind is in your face. The hill is steeper. But now that you know the math is different, you can adjust your strategy. You can stop playing by the old rules. Don't measure your success by your parents' milestones. They lived in a different economy. Measure your success by your own stability, by your own peace of mind. Focus on the gap between what you earn and what you spend. That little gap, that's your freedom. Fight for that gap, widen it, protect it. It's going to require some awkward conversations. It's going to require saying, I can't afford that right now, even when you make 6 figures. It's going to require being the person who brings a packed lunch while everyone else orders $20 salads. But trust me, the $20 salad tastes like regret anyway. I'm going to be here breaking this down video by video. We're going to talk about debt, about groceries, about the psychological traps they set for us. We're going to figure this out together. Because $100K might be the new broke, but we don't have to stay broken. Once again, I'm Karen. Thanks for listening. Go check your bank account. Without panic this time. Just look at it. It's just numbers, and we can fix numbers. See you in the next one.